Hi, this is Gayle Davidson from the American Vegan Society, taping in Malaga, New Jersey with FionaOakes. FionaOakes is the steward and caretaker of Tower Hill Stables in Essex, England, and she just completed the Atlantic City Marathon yesterday and came in fourth. And Fiona, welcome to the States.
Nice to be here.
And congratulations on your placement. She was #1 in her age category. And Fiona, we're just going to ask you a few questions about why you're here in the States, and if you can give us some background of how you got to the States and why you were running the Atlantic City Marathon. I think we'd all appreciate that.
Okay. Well, I ran the Atlantic City Marathon as part of a world record challenge which I'm trying to do for the animals. I'm pretty much lifelong vegan. I've been vegan since 6 years old, and I wanted to do something really special, so I figured I'm going to break a world record. So I went to the North Pole in April, and I'm the fastest woman to ever run a marathon at the North Pole. I broke the course record by 44 minutes there and came third overall.
And what was that time?
That time was 4 hours 53 minutes. And then I decided to take on the 7 continent plus North Pole Marathon Challenge, which is to be the fastest woman to actually physically go to every continent and run a marathon in the shortest space of time. And that time will be 224 days. And the Atlantic City Marathon was the North American part of the challenge. 2 weeks prior to this, I ran in Siberia in Russia, in the biggest race in Russia, which I placed 14th.
And what was that called? The
Siberian International Marathon. A couple of weeks before that, I ran in Australia, in Adelaide, in which I placed 3rd in the Adelaide Marathon. And 2 weeks before that, I ran in Europe, in the Isle of Man, which I won that marathon.
And where's the Isle of Man?
That's just off the coast of England in the Irish Sea. Yep.
And where are you going after Atlantic City Marathon? Because Atlantic City Marathon was October 13th, 2013.
Yeah.
And what's your next marathon? When and where?
On the 27th of October, I will run in Casablanca in Morocco, which will be the African part of the challenge. And then on the 11th of November, I fly down to Chile and run in the Atacama Desert. And then on to Antarctica for hopefully the 22nd of November, but it can fluctuate with the weather being so bad down there. But I will break the record. I'm hoping to break the record by about 100 days.
And the whole purpose of you doing this is for?
To promote veganism in a positive, proactive way. I run an animal sanctuary. I care for the animals there. There are about 400 animals under my care, and they are safe. But I realised about 10-15 years ago this is not enough. These animals are just a tiny fraction of the animals which have been abused in the world. I want to do something for them. So I thought, I've got to do something positive. I want to do something that actually encourages other people and doesn't give them excuses to not address the issue of veganism, the planet, the environment, for many, many reasons. So I figured I'm pretty good at sport. I'll start marathon running, start wearing the vegan runner vest, vegan runner club, which I actually started, and just want to kind of publicise veganism in a positive way. And I figured, well, a good way of doing that is to either go to races, marathons, which are very demanding, very challenging, and do well in them. And figured yesterday the goal of coming here wasn't to win that marathon, because obviously I can't win a marathon. It's not 100 metres every 2 weeks, but it's just to finish strongly, to overtake the men at the last 20 miles. I can come on really strong because I'm running well within myself, and to let the general public, spectators, see vegan woman going past men who are kind of flagging aside, and just to put that seed into their mind. Hey, look, what's that on her vest? It's vegan, she's doing that. That's really positive. That was the point of the challenge, really. And when I first started, I hadn't thought about the 7 continents. It was just to go to the North Pole and try and win the marathon. And I kind of got this idea in my head.
And when did you get that idea?
Probably the end of last year, the very end of last year. It was kind of vegan on top of the world. And, that's what I was, literally on top of the world. The fastest woman ever, and it was kind of just to break down those stereotypes, those myths that people say, oh, where do you get your protein? You're going to be really weak and you won't be able to get out of bed in the morning. And to me, people are very, very shallow, and you've got to hit them with soundbite things. And in our country, if somebody came in and said, oh, I'm really tired, I feel like I've run a marathon, it's kind of synonymous with being tired. And then if they come in and say, oh, it's bitter cold out, it's like North Pole out there. So I figured they could put the 2 words together: North Pole, cold, extreme, marathon, cold, hard. 2 together, really hard. Vegan woman wins it, breaks record. That was just kind of a simple, kind of childlike idea I had, and I hope that it would be able to get through to people, not in a kind of very confrontational way, because when you start confronting them with the serious issues, they back away, they can become aggressive. And, you know, also that's why I carry the little Percy bear with me, because A, it gets through to children, but it kind of breaks the ice, you know. And it's, even at the race yesterday, asking the soldiers, will they have the photograph taken with Percy Bear in the centre of the, you know, it's kind of, you know, it just gives a different angle, a different dimension to what we do, and brings everyone in. It's kind of inclusive of everyone rather than excluding and, you know, saying you can't come to my party because you're not vegan. It's kind of, come on in, we'll welcome you, and then you might start thinking about it. And that was just honestly the idea of doing it. It's not that I particularly love running, because everybody, it's well documented that I don't particularly like it at all, and I'm not an adrenaline junkie. It's been a real sacrifice to come away and do this, to leave the sanctuary. I've had to entrust it to my partner Martin, who obviously it's a big ask for him to just suddenly take the mantle, and I'm worried the whole time I'm away. I want to be away as short a time as possible, so the travelling issues have been difficult for me. So it's kind of it's been a real big sacrifice, and I only decided to do it pretty late because I couldn't let the opportunity slip by for the animals. I want to live my life for the animals, whether it be running a sanctuary, whether it be being fire crew and being vegan. So that's another, you know, people think, you know, being fire crew is a difficult challenge, you know.
Yes, talk about that. Talk about what the fire crew is.
Well, I'm a retained firefighter. Literally, I was out running one day and some guy pulled up next to me and said, hey, you look fit. Have you ever thought about being a fireman? And I thought, well, no, it's not something I've been, you know, mulling on, you know, it just wasn't something I thought of. I didn't even realise there was retained fire crew. And he said, come down the fire station and see what you can do. Even there, when I went to my physical for the fires, I didn't tell them I was vegan. When they found out, one of the fitness instructors said to me, vegan. The last one of those we had lasted 3 hours here, but he was the man. You know, and I thought, well, you're going to see something a little bit different here. And, you know, first woman on our region for firefighting, certainly first vegan woman. And, you know, I get vegans from all around the world who want to join the fire brigade. Yes. How did you get around this issue? How did you get around that issue? So I don't really want to do anything in my life. I'm not doing the running because, I just love it. You know, I want to go out there and just run all that. I don't. I do it, and if I thought it wasn't doing anything for the animals, I would think it was a complete waste of time, and I would do something else that I thought was productive for them. But I think it is at the moment. So, you know, I ran the Sahara Desert, the toughest foot race on the planet last year.
What's it called?
The Marathon de Sable, and that is the kind of definitive thing for runners. When you say, I've done London, I've done this. Oh, by the way, I've done the Marathon de Sable. You've done what?
Is that the one you did with 2 fractured toes?
I did it with 2 fractured toes.
2 fractured toes, and 7 days?
7 days in the Sahara Desert, self-sufficiency.
154 miles, I believe?
Yeah, carrying everything you need apart from water in a very temporary shelter. And even there, you know, people would say, you know, it was the kind of the running joke on camp. You know, we've got the Irishman, the Scotsman, the Welshman, you know, and the Englishman in our tent, and we've got the vegan woman. You know, and, you know, but at the end of that race, people said, you know, you completely weren't what we expected. You know, I was, you know, kind of helping everybody, and they were kind of saying, you know, when we go out now and anybody says anything about vegans, we'll stick up for them. You know, that's kind of what I want. You know, I can't change the world. I can't, you know, tell people what to do. People will pull away. You just got to have kind of branch out like little tentacles into society and say, no, hang on a minute. Didn't that vegan woman want you to? Yes, you know, in positive ways, and introduce it in a positive way, because otherwise people will just put the barriers up, say no, not having it, go away. So you kind of got to find whatever way you can to reach out to people. And people will find the path of veganism so many different ways to lead to this path. But I don't really care which way, you know, which particular interest path it is. I just want them to get there in the end. You know, even these meat-free days are an encouragement. You know, go meat-free on a Monday. You know, it's easy enough, and then you might decide, Wednesday as well. I can do that. Just slowly, gently, softly. That's all you can do.
And can you talk about the partnership you have with your mom and what a support she has been from early on when you made? You were talking about how it was an intuitive decision. Yeah. That when you were 3 years old, you
went vegetarian. And when I was 6 years old, I went vegan. And can I say one word about my mom? It's a bit of a, you know, kind of a cliche. She's just a rock. I mean, she doesn't naturally understand what I'm doing, but she will follow me. And sometimes to have somebody unquestioningly following you, saying, yeah, I support you, whatever, because I know, I believe in you, that is the difference. They don't have to necessarily understand, they just have to believe. And that gives you the trust and the strength to think, yeah, I can do it. And that's what my mum's done for me.
And the story about her going to her old teacher?
Yeah, she went to her old teacher. She had an old teacher when she was at school that was a vegan, and she basically encouraged her and said, yeah, she can do this.
Well, that's fantastic.